A remarkable event in Araya. A holy Bible has fallen from heaven.
In August 1914, in a small fishing village deep in the Niger Delta, something fell from the sky. Not rain, not lightning, not a bird, a Bible. It landed, they say, on a rain-soaked yam. And when the villagers ran to touch it, the Bible was completely dry. No mud, no water, no damage, just there, as if it had been placed by an invisible hand. Over 100 years later, a monument still stands on that exact spot. Pilgrims still travel there. Every single year, some believe it was a miracle straight from heaven. Others believe someone wanted them to believe that. Today, we're going to Araya, and I'm going to tell you everything, the story, the history, and the questions nobody wants to ask out loud. Stay till the end, because this one has a twist you won't see coming. Welcome back to Acres of Africa Folk Tales and Culture, the home of the sacred, the strange, and the unexplained, the folk tales, the traditions, and the true stories our ancestors carried for generations. If this is your first time here, consider subscribing, because every week we dig into Africa's folklore, spiritual heritage, and the true events history almost forgot to tell. Today's story takes us to Isoko land in Delta State, Nigeria, to a village called Araya, and to an event that, depending on who you ask, either proves the hand of God or hides one of the cleverest secrets in Nigerian religious history. Let's begin. Before we talk about what fell from the sky, you need to understand what Araya was before it happened. Araya is a small village in the Aviara clan among the Isoko people of the Niger Delta. The Isoko are neighbors to the Yoruba, the Ijaw, and the Ukwani people. Their land is cut through by the river Niger itself, and their people have always lived close to the creeks, the rivers, the water. Fishing was their life. Farming was their backbone. But before 1911, there was no Christianity here. Araya followed the old ways. They worshipped a supreme being, yes, but they also honored divinities, spirits, and ancestors who never truly left. There was Araya, the deity of marital harmony. There was Isoko, the god of the yearly tongue cleansing ritual. And above all of them, there was the Aya cult, named after a man called Aya, a diviner, who, like the biblical Jacob, used his wit to outmaneuver his own brothers and claimed a fishing ground so rich it built an entire community. Aya is still remembered today as the spiritual father of this land. So understand this clearly. Araya was not a Christian town. It was a spiritual stronghold of its own, with its own gods, its own order, its own peace. And then the missionaries came. Around 1911, two men entered Isoko land, carrying a message the villagers had never heard before. Reverend J. Iteken, a Nigerian man from Ijaw, and his overseer, a Briton named Reverend Proctor. They belonged to the Church Missionary Society, and their base was in a town called Patani. Their mission was simple: on paper, spread the gospel. But in practice, it meant walking into villages that already had gods, already had order, already had meaning, and asking the people to abandon all of it for a book and a man named Jesus Christ that most of them had never heard of. It wasn't easy. Conversion was slow. Suspicion was high. Some early converts stepped forward. Names still remembered today: Uremuitif, Ohoimaro of Abube, and a former slave named Michael Erehimo, who became one of the most passionate voices for the new faith. But for most of Araya, the old gods still held their hearts. And then, in 1914, 3 years after the missionaries arrived, something happened that will change everything. August 1914. The exact circumstances differ depending on who tells you the story, but the core of it stays the same. A Bible appears in the bush of Araya. Some say it fell directly from the sky, landing on a yam tuber soaked from the rain, yet somehow remaining completely dry. Others say it was simply discovered, lying in the bush as if placed there. Either way, word spread through Araya like wildfire. A holy book in a village that worshipped the Aya cult, appearing without explanation. To the people of Araya, there was only one explanation that made sense. God Himself had sent it. A child born 2 years after the event, a boy named Cornelius Adam Ibudu, was raised on this story his entire life and would go on to become one of the founders of a ministry inspired by it, carrying the message of the discovery to every part of the world he could reach. The impact was massive. What missionaries couldn't achieve in 3 years of preaching, this single, unexplained event achieved almost overnight. Key of the Spirit, the promise of education, and now a literal miracle, pulled the people of Araya toward Christianity in numbers nobody expected. But here's where the story takes its first strange turn. You'd think a Bible that fell from heaven would be the most protected object in the entire region. Preserved, displayed, passed down for generations, but it wasn't. According to the accounts passed down in Araya, Reverend Proctor, the British missionary overseeing the area, eventually returned to London, and on that journey home, he died in a shipwreck. The Bible, the same one said to have fallen from heaven, was with him. It was lost at sea. However, to the people of Araya, this wasn't a tragedy. It was interpreted as the plan of God Himself. The Bible had done its work in Araya, and now they believed its message was meant to travel on, to England, to the rest of the world. Some elders even called it Ote Reyepo, loosely meaning it was taken home. To this day, the original Bible has never been found, which means nobody alive today has ever laid eyes on the exact book that fell from the sky in 1914. All that remains is the story and the ground where it happened. In 1988, more than 70 years after the event, the community built a monument on the exact spot where the Bible was said to have appeared. It stands about 7 feet tall. At the top, an altar. On that altar, 3 objects: a cross, an open book representing the fallen Bible, and 12 tubers of yam, a direct echo of the rain Sok Yam it's said to have landed on. Carved into the middle, a simple inscription: The Miracle of the Araya Holy Bible, August 1914. The site is treated with the weight of something sacred. There are strict rules for anyone who visits. No trading, no business of any kind on the grounds, no cooking, no open fire, no jewelry or ornaments, no entering the monument itself, no crusades or loud gatherings. Visitors are asked to remain tidy and to keep absolute silence, and pilgrims are only permitted to stay a maximum of 3 days. Even now, more than 100 years later, thousands of Christians travel to Araya every year, especially during Easter, to stand on the ground where they believe heaven touched earth. You can reach it from Warri through Geli and Ole, or from Asaba through Kwale. The dry season between October and April makes the journey easier. And here's where we have to be honest with you, because a good storyteller doesn't just tell you what people believe. A good storyteller also asks, what if it isn't true? Researchers at Delta State University, studying this story formally, raised the exact question that lingers over Araya to this day. How did the Bible actually get into that bush? Who brought it, and for what purpose? Did it truly descend from heaven, or was it discreetly placed there by human hands to create the impression of a miracle in order to draw a resistant village toward Christianity? Think about the timeline again. Missionaries arrive in 1911. Conversion is slow. Resistance is strong. 3 years later, in 1914, a miracle appears in the very bush surrounding the village, and conversion suddenly accelerates. That is not proof of deception, but it is a pattern worth noticing. Even the researchers who studied it didn't dismiss the story as false. Their conclusion was more delicate than that. They said the event was real. Something did happen in Araya, and it left a real, lasting impact on real people. But in Isoko tradition, the way history is told is through symbol and myth. That means the story might not be a lie, it might simply be a real event, retold in the sacred language of a people who have always turned their history into legend. So which is it? A genuine miracle from God, or a well-timed strategy by men trying to save souls the only way they thought would work? More than 100 years later, nobody can say for certain. Not the historians, not the pastors, not even the descendants of Araya themselves. What we do know is this. A Bible appeared in a village that had never known Christianity. That village transformed completely within a generation. A monument still stands to mark the spot. And to this day, thousands still walk that path every single year, searching for something greater than themselves. Maybe that's the real miracle of Araya. Not whether the Bible fell from the sky, but that a story told for over 100 years still has the power to move an entire people to their knees. If this story moved you or made you question something you thought you already understood, let me know in the comments. I read every single one. And if you want more stories like this, hidden histories, sacred traditions, legends that blur the line between myth and memory, make sure you're subscribed and tap that bell, because Acres of Africa folk tales and culture has many more waiting for you. Until the next story, stay curious, stay rooted, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, and thanks for watching.